You're watching Newswatch on WOAY.
Now, we showcased our winter outlook back in September, and the number one climate driver was El Nino. It's boom or bust around here when it comes to snow. That's what everyone wants to know. Am I going to have to shovel a lot? Are we going to have school delays and closings, etc.? Well, here are the numbers to keep in mind. Beckley averages 55.9 inches of snow in the entire year. Bluefield, 34.6 inches, and Lewisburg a little bit less at 29.5 inches. So what is the status of El Nino now and going forward, and the other climate driver that will likely dominate our pattern? Well, I took a look at the latest information and have this report. Folks, I've been talking about El Nino ever since we did our winter outlook back in September. It was the number one climate driver for the upcoming winter. I want to give you an update on where it stands right now. So what I'm going to do is share my screen here, and you are going to see the slideshow that I prepared that basically tells you what's going to happen with El Nino. So first of all, if we look at the sea surface temperature anomalies, they are above average across the entire equatorial Pacific. And notice how the anomalies have increased in aerial coverage and also in heat content across the dateline. So we have a super El Nino. That's the highest level El Nino you can have. The heat has been expanding across the Pacific. You can see, especially from April to July, we have had the heat expand from west to east into the equatorial Pacific. The La Nina faded, El Nino has developed. So that's another signal. Now, when we compare this year to previous years, we look at the sea surface temperature anomaly trends, and the line that is very close to 2023 is the 1982 El Nino. When we look at the outgoing long wave radiation, basically the more negative the number, the more clouds that develop from the heat that is generated from the ocean. All that heat and moisture comes up in the atmosphere and forms clouds. So the more negative the number, the more clouds you have. In this case, we are following a similar trajectory to the 1987 El Nino. And a third factor here is 850 millibar anomalies. This is the strength of the wind at 5,000 feet, the actual wind that's pushing this water across the equatorial Pacific. And the year that stands out similar to the anomalies this year is the 2015-2016 El Nino. We are going to see a slower transition to La Nina because we have less cool ocean temperatures in the Pacific. So what this means is our super El Nino is going to continue through the entire winter. Now, the best match previous El Nino so far is November of 2015, because as you can see here, the sea surface temperature anomalies on this graphic versus the one from last month are very similar in magnitude and extent of very warm water. Now, the second driving factor that I think is going to determine how much snow we get is the North Pacific Ocean. And I've hatched this area right here. This is showing the heat content, how it's penetrated 150 meters. So we are seeing very strong subsurface warming, which gives way to a negative phase of the Pacific Decadal Oscillation. All right, let's break down it. Seasonal snowfall amounts with similar ENSO analogs. So look at the range here in Beckley, anywhere from 43 to 58 inches. In Bluefield, 13 to 35 inches. In Lewisburg, these are the 3 years I'm looking at, 22.5 inches in the 82-83 winter to 1 inch in the 87-88, and then 33.6 inches in the 2015-2016 winter. The PDO is going to stay negative. That's just what's going to happen. There's just no doubt about it. Temperatures in a negative PDO, folks, favor warmth in the east and cooler than average temperatures in the west. And look at these seasonal snowfall amounts with the negative PDO winter in our region. The average is 33 inches in Beckley, 25.5 inches in Bluefield, and 17 inches in Lewisburg. The range, 11 to 78 inches in Beckley, 7 to 50 inches in Bluefield, and less than an inch in Lewisburg to 29.3 inches. So the overall theme here is that when you couple a negative PDO with a strong El Nino, we will have below average snowfall, and it will likely come in 1 or 2 storms later in the winter. Chief Meteorologist Chad Merrill reporting for Newswatch.
Man, you can just really tell how passionate Chad is for El Nino.
Yes, a super El Nino. So this one will be studied for years to come. That is for sure. So we have all this heat energy in the Pacific feeding the subtropical jet stream. That's one of the reasons why we have the severe weather outbreak in the south. So that will continue to bring the influx of moisture into our area this winter. So I don't think we're going to have to worry about any rainfall deficit. It's how much cold air are we going to have with these storm systems. And one of those determining factors, I think, in my opinion, is the negative PDO, which would keep the coldest air locked into the west, so we would only get a couple of shots of cold. And 1 or 2 storms that make up our entire winter snowfall, I think. Now, we had the inch yesterday, and we'll probably have a couple of more of those piddly little storms.
Yeah.
But I think the nuts and bolts of our winter is going to be 1 or 2 storms in the latter half of the season.
Well, I have to believe you. I don't know anything about this, but even if I did know, I would trust you. I think you're right. All right, let's hope so, though.
Let's hope so, right? Cross your fingers. And it's still looking like this Christmas,
Yeah?
very warm.
You think?
No chance for a white Christmas unless you're at the top of Snowshoe Mountain.
Sorry, folks. Now we have news coming up after this.